Welcome to Tech in the Car, I'm Oliver, and this is the Mustang Mach E made by Ford. It takes a Mustang name, but it's Ford's first electric vehicle. And in this video, I'm going to explain it to you. And this is an SUV, and it's got a really interesting bit of styling and technology. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the range of the battery. So there's two battery versions available, 70 kilowatt hours and 91 kilowatt hours. There's an all-wheel drive and a rear-wheel drive version, and there's a top-of-the-range Mach E GT. On the rear-wheel drive version, the 70 kilowatt hour battery is good for 273 miles of range. On the all-wheel drive, it's good for 248 miles, and the GT is only available in the larger 91 kilowatt hour battery. Depending on which model you get, the rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or indeed the GT version, that will affect the range, but it's comparable with other cars, which you would also be looking at. What about pricing? This car starts at £42,530. In fact, this model is the base model, rear-wheel drive with one speed, like most electric cars. There's also the all-wheel drive version, which is available for about £50,000. And then there's a top Mach E GT, which is around £66,280. That has 487 PS, so about 480 horsepower. It can do 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. Now, I actually had a go in the GT version at the LA Auto Show. I went on Ford's little track around there, and I can tell you it's very fast. Let's talk about this front design. So first of all, we have these slimline LEDs. I love the look of slimline LEDs. I think they're what makes cars look very, very futuristic. But interesting detail, there's a Mustang logo inside the lights here. That is attention to detail and makes it very, very special. If we come to the front here, we've got a grille. So obviously this isn't a real grille, it's an electric car, it doesn't need a grille. It has got a vent design around the outside though to make it a little more sporty. And of course we have this power dome effect on the bonnet, which has got kind of like a U shape on it. A bit strange because it's an electric car, but it makes it look very, very interesting. And I've already had somebody stop and ask me if this was a Mustang. They didn't know that there was an electric version available. They automatically assumed it was a performance EV. So that's something which proves maybe Ford's point of making it the Mustang brand. People are familiar and they assume it's performance and they therefore give it more value. And don't get me wrong, the full top range version, the GT, is very fast, but somebody can buy one of the more reasonably priced models and still get that brand recognition, which is something which you may not get from other cars. Of course, being the latest electric car with the latest technology, this has all the driver assistance technology as well. So you've got the adaptive cruise control and lane assist, and the actual number plate's mounted on a special bracket on the front here, which is something which you don't normally get. Normally the number plate's just stuck on the front. There is actually a space there. So that's a nice little detail. You probably don't care that much about it when driving it, but when looking at the design, it's very holistic. Let's talk about the side design of this car. Well, this is an SUV coupe style. First of all, the wheels, 17 and 18 inches available. This is 18 inches. As we come down the side, you'll note that there's no door handle. There's a little pulley here, and then there's a button you press and it soft releases, and then you can open it and close it. And then there's these numbers at the side, so you can actually put a pin in to open and close your car. That's a really bit of interesting design. I haven't seen that on any other electric cars. And as we come towards the back, you've got these haunches over the rear wheels to add to the sportiness. Again, button on the back here, no handle and nothing to pull on the back there. And then let's talk about the roofline here. So you can see this coupe-esque roofline coming down, sloping down here. On cars which are different colors, the roofline is actually contrast. So this bit here will be contrast and be black, and this will be a different color, whatever that color will be, which means it makes the car look like it is actually a lot lower and it has less roof than it has. The benefit of obviously this design is, one, it hides the fact that it's slightly higher. Two, it means there's more space inside the car without necessarily looking at it. Obviously on the black version, that's not as obvious because they're all the same color, but it's a clever bit of design by Ford. What about rear seat space in the Mustang Mach E? Well, we press the button to open the door, and then we get in here. And as I suspected, based on the fact the roofline does that, there is a lot of headspace in here. I've got this much space. There's a lot of space. There's a lot of knee space. These seats are actually quite slim in front. This is a very, very surprisingly spacious. And you know, I'll touch on the interior in a minute, but the quality in here is fantastic. This really does feel like a car which is worth £40,000. It feels very, very nice in here. Down between the back seats, you have two USBs, one's Type-C, one standard. And, you know, like I said, lots of space. There's an armrest so you can pull it down with two cup holders. That's nice to see. And yeah, I'm very impressed with the back here. And you know, there's lots of space too. You don't feel like you don't have any space when the rear window is closed and the door is closed, you're fine for space. It doesn't feel like you're cramped at all, and there's good visibility. And of course, press a button and it automatically unlatches with these futuristic automatic soft close, soft open doors. Let's talk about the rear design of the Mustang Mach E. So first of all, these tail lights are like you'd get on a Mustang, just like you'd expect on the muscle car that you can get. Exactly the same. So that's a really interesting design feature. Obviously, we've got the Mustang logo again on the back here. What about space in the back of this car? Well, it is an SUV, so there's a ton of space. It's a manual tailgate, but you can see there's room for plenty of suitcases, and the floor of this can actually be pulled out, and there is a space underneath there for you to put other stuff in there as well. So it's very spacious in here. There's some little cubbies, there's some hooks, there's some tether points. So it's very much designed with practicality in mind, which is always a good thing. This is the interior of the 2022 Mustang Mach E, and the interior of this car is beautiful. This car interior feels like it belongs in a Bentley, honestly. The seats are amazing with their quilting, they're so comfortable. The materials on the dashboard, we've got soft touch plastics, we've got this interesting, I don't know what this material is on the top here, but this feels really nice. We've got a metallic finish here, we've got stitching. It's a really, really nice interior. There's tons of space down here. Even the gear tunnel, I suppose it's not called a gear tunnel anymore because there are no like gears other than one, but even that is covered in leather and stitching and looks beautiful. Everything in here is immaculate. It feels fantastic. The only bit which maybe lets it down a bit is the steering wheel. I feel like the steering wheel could be a bit nicer, but you know, it looks really good. This infotainment screen is 15.5 inches. It's high resolution. It's amazingly good quality. It's got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and it's got a physical volume controller, which I love. This is really high quality with this metallic finish. It looks amazing. I love the fact they've got a physical control there, not just touchscreens, considering how big this touchscreen is. The infotainment here, really, really good. Ford's new sync system, latest sync system, is very, very impressive, and I like it a lot. And then we have this little driver's display, which is very small and compact, only a few inches across, but it's got all the information you can want, and it isn't obstructed by the steering wheel when you're moving the steering wheel up and down. So this is all very, very cleverly thought out. The way that this all fits together, you can see it's been thought about in great detail, and I can see this is a car of detail when you look at the Mustang logo in the front headlights, when you look at all these little areas inside the car, outside the car, the buttons on the side of the door. It's all a sign of a car which has got a lot of attention to detail and is really, really comfortable. And these seats, by the way, I said they look beautiful, they're also really, really comfortable. So how is this car to drive? Let's take it for a drive and find out. Driving the Mach E. So this car is an SUV. It's got a higher ride height than most other SUVs. I suppose it's most comparable maybe to a Model Y or an EV6 here in the UK. And we're in whisper mode now, and I've got the one pedal braking off, so it's not coming to a full stop. I have to use the brake just like a traditional car to stop. Going over the speed bumps in the park, it goes over them without too much difficulty. Doesn't shake me around a bit. But you can feel, obviously, in whisper mode, it's very much maximizing efficiency, and it's not necessarily the most responsive driving experience. If we turn it into active now, immediately it feels a bit more like it's ready to go, and a bit more like it's got a bit more oomph in it, and that makes it a bit more enjoyable to drive. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the one pedal driving. It's interesting that by default it's off, and it really brings you to a stop basically straight away, the one pedal driving. I mean, literally, there's like, take your foot off and you stop. It's very, very aggressive one pedal driving. Now, I do like the one pedal driving. I think one pedal driving is good. I think that it saves you energy because it's putting energy back into the motors, into battery even, and also it's just easier to drive like this. I think it's safer too, though that isn't statistically proven, but I feel like maybe it improves your driving. That's how I feel about my driving anyway. If we go into Untamed, so Untamed is the unbridled performance mode, where we've got over 260 horsepower, 269 horsepower. And obviously as you move through the range, it gets faster with the all-wheel drive version, and then moving on to the GT version, which has around 480 horsepower and can do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, which I had a go at in LA at the Los Angeles Auto Show. It's definitely a very capable car driving on the roads. I feel very confident. I've got a good viewing position because we're slightly higher up as well. The steering feels like it's very comfortable, and it feels a lot more natural, if I'm honest with you, than the RS3 I drove yesterday. The RS3 definitely felt a lot more weird with the steering. It had like less lock, or more lock I should say, and so it felt like you hit the end of the steering really quickly, which was a bit strange. But this car does not feel like that. It feels like a really good electric car that you can drive along and you can enjoy, and that's really what we want from an electric car. We've got good range as well. It's telling me 227 miles, so this is the smaller battery size, the 70 kilowatt hour battery. It's actually can get up to 273 miles, and then if we go up to the 91 kilowatt hour battery, then we get over 300 miles. And one of the great things about electric cars, people always forget this, is you can start every day with a full charge because you plug it in at home and it's fully charged. And in most driving circumstances, I think the average journey that people make in a week is about 160 miles. Well, if you've got a range of 300 or something miles, then really you only need to charge it twice a month to full. And if you're plugging it in at your home, probably an hour or two, and it'll be fully charged when driving. So, you know, really easy to keep this car topped up with charge and to drive it and enjoy the experience of driving it too. And I think that's a very important thing to take into consideration. So what are my thoughts on this car? Amazing interior, great infotainment system, very comfortable to drive, very capable, good range. This is a fantastically good electric car and a really good first car for Ford as well. And you should definitely consider checking one of these out if you're looking for an EV, because it might be that this is a car that you'll like the best and want to go for.